On March 18th, 1990, the most audacious art heist of all time took place at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. Two men dressed as police officers were admitted into the building by security, claiming to be responding to a disturbance call.
In 81 minutes, 13 pieces of art were stolen. Among the portraits, stripped from their frames, were works by Vermeer, Degas, and Rembrandt. Estimated at $500 million, the heist has been categorized as the largest and most frustrating of all time. Theories of their whereabouts and those who perpetrated the crime are abundant.
In this podcast series, we will dig as deep as possible into the case, the theories, and the social and economic impact the greatest unsolved art heist of all time had on the community. This is Empty Frames. Welcome back to Empty Frames. Today we are speaking about a heist at the Louvre that happened in 2025, just recently, just in October. So this is a very new story that we're bringing you today, which is a rarity here on the Empty Frames program. Lance, how are you today?
I'm doing great today because we are back on Empty Frames. We have the listeners who reached out. They said, hey, did you hear about this Louvre thing? We said, we sure did. They were like, you should put this on Empty Frames. We said, we sure are. So we got our great researcher, Kathleen Studer, on the job, and she put together this wonderful document, which we have gone over, and it's going to be about as comprehensive as any piece of news that you've seen out there, and we're going to put it all in one place right here. I love it when we have heist news breaking because that means we bring Empty Frames back to the listeners, and love doing new episodes of this show. So super excited about this.
Yes, me too. And there may have been some new updates since this was written. I believe 2 additional people were arrested since this is written. So we will try to be caught up to real time by the time we reach the end of this episode.
Things breaking in real time, only on Empty Frames.
Okay, so we are going to break real quick for commercial, and we're going to be right back to speak about this recent heist at the Louvre. On Sunday, October 19th, 2025, at approximately 30 minutes past the Louvre's opening hour of 9 a.m., 4 men posing as construction workers in yellow and orange vests operating a stolen furniture lift device entered the second-story balcony to a section of the Louvre called the Galerie d'Apollon, Apollo's Gallery. Apologies for the likelihood of many mispronunciations here today, but this is where the French crown jewels were housed.
And we already have some airs of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist because we have men who are dressing as something else to enter the facility, but this is a very brazen heist. It takes a lot of gall to steal a furniture lift and use that for your heist. I mean, I can't imagine this thing was very quiet. I can't imagine that it didn't make some noise here. So they definitely brought some attention to themselves. But 2 of the men had their faces covered with balaclavas. They used angle grinders to gain entry through the balcony windows. So once again, we're hearkening old school heists here. And an angle grinder is one of those handheld tools, power tools, that is used. It's usually has this disc that spins around, and it's used usually to polish or grind down metal. Once they were in, they threatened the 2 unarmed guards with tools and smashed through 2 of the glass display cases, stealing 9 of the Napoleonic crown jewels.
Yeah, and we'll put some pictures here for the video version on Spotify and YouTube, but man, what a bunch of beautiful jewels. I mean, holy moly, with the diamonds and such. Jeez Louise. So the items were the crown of Empress Eugenie, her pearl tiara, her requillery brooch, part of the sapphire set of Queen Marie Amélie and Queen Hortense, the crown necklace and 1 earring, and an emerald necklace and earring set that belonged to Marie Louise, Duchess of Parma.
The two men escaped from the window they came in, rode down the lift, and fled on two Yamaha T-Max scooters, dropping and damaging Empress Eugenie's crown on the sidewalk in the process. If you feel like you're hearing a little giggle in my voice, it's because I was. The imagery here is just too rich. It's too good.
Yeah, this is really amazing to picture. But the scooters have a 560cc engine, so they were powerful enough for the thieves to make a fast getaway. And the entire event took less than 10 minutes. And we'll try to play some video here again on the video versions of this on Spotify or YouTube. But there's a photo of one of the thieves taking items from a display case. And from the Louvre's standpoint, an alarm sounded at 9:37 a.m., 4 minutes after the break-in started, which alerted museum authorities that there was an issue. And the guards had been confronted and fled the gallery, likely quickly, and informed security of the nature of the breach.
God, I couldn't even imagine being one of those guards and having the possibility of something like this happen and being trained. I'm using air quotes here. I don't know how trained they were, but when a robbery is actually in place, like actually ongoing, that's got to be such an adrenaline rush. And you're unarmed, so you're not, firing your weapon into the air and saying stop or I'll shoot. I just wonder how their training came into play here. And the museum immediately went on lockdown and patrons were evacuated from the building. Minutes later, police arrived and recovered what the thieves had left behind, that being the two angle grinders, a blowtorch, gasoline, gloves, a walkie-talkie, a blanket, and Empress Eugenie's crown, which was what fell off the motor scooters, and broke.
And so they also located a yellow vest a few blocks away at the corner of Pont des Sully and Avenue Henry IV. And the thieves had attempted to set fire to the lift, but were unsuccessful. Seems challenging to set a lift afire.
I know.
But it is believed that the thieves fled southeast towards the A6 highway toward the French city of Lyon.
And the stolen jewels, they're valued at 88 million euros. That's $102 million. However, their heritage value goes without saying. It far surpasses any monetary amount.
Yes, and the jewels stolen are just one part of the French crown jewel collection that has survived to current times. The collection displayed in the Galerie des Apollons also included the crown of Louis XV, the crown of Napoleon I, who we know as Napoleon Bonaparte, the coronation sword, the scepter of Charles V, as well as other items such as the famous Regent, Hortensia, and Sancy diamonds.
The crown of Empress Eugenie's de Montijo, taken from the case by the thieves, then dropped on the sidewalk, was created for the Empress consort by Napoleon III, Emperor of the French, in 1855.
Wow. And she later bequeathed it to Princess Marie Clotilde Bonaparte, and it came up for auction in 1988, and the buyer donated it to the Louvre. So that's how it ended up there. And the crown features a staggering 1,354 diamonds and 56 emeralds.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that must be kind of shiny.
A little bit more about Eugenie, her history. She was born into Spanish nobility in 1826, was educated in Spain, France, and England. She married Napoleon III, the last emperor of France, and they had one child. After the fall of the empire, the family fled to England, living in exile.
The sapphire set of Queen Marie Amélie and Queen Hortense on display at the time of the heist consisted of a diadem, necklace, earrings, and 3 brooches or pins. The diadem alone contains 24 Ceylon sapphires and 1,083 diamonds, with some being detachable to wear as brooches. And really cool, there's actually a painting of Queen Marie Amélie wearing this sapphire set from 1836. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it really is remarkable. Wow. And a little history on Queen Marie Amalie, she was born just outside of Naples, the Italian princess of daughter Ferdinand I and Maria Carolina of Austria. She was also the niece of the one and only Marie Antoinette, queen consort of King Louis XVI of France, who may have been the original owner of the sapphire set. I mean, that's like legit rich history.
Yeah, pretty cool. And great research. Thanks again to Kathleen.
No, that was just from the top of my head.
So Queen Marie Amélie married Louis Philippe d'Orléans, King of France from 1830 to 1848, the last of the French monarchy to be called so. And he abdicated the throne in 1848 and fled to England. And Queen Hortense de Beauharnois was married to King Louis Bonaparte, King of Holland. And Louis was the brother of Napoleon I. Wow.
Empress Marie-Louise was Napoleon I's second wife and the mother of their son, who would become Napoleon II. So Napoleon I had an emerald and diamond set created for her to include a diadem, necklace, earrings, and belt buckle.
And the diadem is currently on display in the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. And turquoise replaced the emeralds on the diadem after jeweler Van Cleef and Arpels purchased it at an auction and sold off the emeralds on it. Well, that's interesting.
Wow. You wouldn't think that that would be something that would be allowed, but I guess it was. And we have portraits here of Marie-Louise wearing the set, which the artist depicted as rubies instead of emeralds. So they're red on her necklace and on the crown. Also interesting.
Yeah.
So these things have such just a history that transcends like traditional history. These things go back a long, long way. Tim, did you know that the Louvre was originally a fortress built in the late 12th to 13th century? And in 1546, Francis I converted it to a palace for the kings of France. And in 1682, the king's residence moved to the Palace of Versailles, and the former building was used to display the royal collection that included Greek and Roman sculptures.
Yeah, I did know that. And I also know that it was during the French Revolution that it became a place to display the nation's masterpieces. And since then, it has been expanded several times. And for a period of time, it was called the Musée Napoléon before being renamed the Musée des Louvre.
And as we all know, today it houses many famous works of art, to include the Mona Lisa, probably the most famous one that is there. And secretly, when I saw the headline that there was a robbery at the Louvre, I really wanted it to be the Mona Lisa, because that would have been mind-blowing. So the Mona Lisa, the Venus de Milo, and the Winged Victory of Samothrace. And Tim, do you know what museum is currently, by square footage exhibit space, the largest museum in the world?
Yeah, it's the Louvre.
It's the Louvre!
Yep. Yep, and the Louvre has seen thefts previous to this one in 2025. In 1911, the Mona Lisa was stolen by a Louvre employee, Vincenzo Perugia, after hiding in a closet and then leaving the building after hours with the painting. Incredible. And during that investigation, several people were questioned as suspects about the theft, including Pablo Picasso himself.
Wow. Pablo Picasso is being investigated as a suspect. Wow. I wonder if there's any transcript of that questioning by authorities, that investigation into Pablo Picasso, because I wonder what his attitude would have been, because he kind of strikes me as a bit of an arrogant individual. I wonder if he was standoffish. I wonder if he was cooperative. It'd be really interesting to see any transcript from Pablo Picasso being asked if he stole the Mona Lisa.
They probably told him to beat it.
Probably told him to beat it. Like, why would I steal that painting? I have plenty of my own.
But Vincenzo revealed himself after waiting 2 years. And then while trying to sell the painting to a gallery in Florence, he claimed he believed the painting belonged back in Italy. Okay.
And in World War II, during Nazi occupation, the Louvre was one of the many museums concerned about being raided for its artwork, because that was pretty famously done. The Germans had been plundering private art collections while expanding their empire. And before the German occupation of Paris, collections were put in wooden cases and hidden in several chateaux around France. That's where they stayed safe and were returned to the museum after the war. Those are just things about war and occupying nations and countries collapsing due to the occupations of other nations that I don't think about until I read in documents like this or in articles, that this was something that was very important to keep the history and culture intact.
Yeah, for sure. And similar to the 2025 heist, in December of 1976, robbers used scaffolding to enter the Apollo Gallery and steal the diamond-studded sword used in the coronation of King Charles X in 1824. An alarm was triggered and the thieves fled with only the sword, which to this day has not been located.
And I've always wondered what that sword is in the background above your window.
What? No, that's not my window. That's a virtual background.
It's a virtual background of King Charles's bedroom. King Charles is the 10th. Just as we're going through this, big, again, shout out to Kathleen Studer for putting together not only details of this heist, but putting together details of the Louvre and previous heists and this, again, rich history. If anyone out there is taking shots every time I say rich, you're probably pretty drunk at this point.
So 2 pieces of 16th century armor were stolen in 1983 during an overnight theft from the Louvre. A helmet, a breastplate gifted from the Rothschild family. And these pieces showed up in 2021 at an estate auction where an appraiser recognized them as the stolen pieces. It's wild. I feel like, having done this show for as long as we have, Lance, we do hear that these things surface after a while, as we're seeing in some of these artifacts. It just still hasn't happened in the Gardner case, though.
I know, right? So it leads you to believe that if they haven't been destroyed, odds are they'll be seen by somebody somewhere at some point. They'll resurface.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then on Sunday, May 3rd, 1998, thieves stole Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot's Les Chemins de Sèvres. The small landscape painting was cut from its frame, also in broad daylight. And when the theft was discovered, the Louvre went on immediate lockdown. But to this day, the painting has not been recovered. And I am not sure if I pronounced that correctly.
Go with it. I'm sure I've mispronounced many things during our entire run of Empty Frames and all of the other. Just go with it. I mean, one man's pronunciation is another man's mispronunciation. But yeah, I wonder, do you think that these were the same thieves that took the Gardner paintings? Got an MO here, cut the paintings from their frame.
Geez, I mean, it's probably possible, only being like 8 years apart, but probably not, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, probably not. I'm definitely trying to connect some dots that shouldn't be connected here. But, any one of our listeners out there has further theories on this, you're more than welcome to reach out. But let's talk about the security in 2025, the day of the robbery at the Louvre. Because it's come under some intense scrutiny. The level of security at the Louvre on the day of the heist, according to the French media, 1 in 3 rooms in the area of the museum raided had no CCTV. That's bonkers to me. It's the Louvre.
Yeah, that does sound crazy to me too. I don't see the harm. I mean, cameras are so cheap these days, little ones for security purposes. That seems kind of crazy. And the gallery's localized alarm was recently discovered to be broken, and there's an investigation into if it was purposefully deactivated. Interesting. As we know, Lance, a lot of these heists end up being inside jobs. I wonder if that's being investigated. I would say definitely.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was a camera that did catch the robbers. It showed them entering the gallery calmly before smashing the display cases.
And unfortunately, in the last decade, there have been cuts to security staff and surveillance at the Louvre, and old infrastructure prevented updating to the latest video equipment. So I guess that's our answer.
I don't know. This is starting to smell like a big-time inside job. They've cut their security staff, their surveillance. They haven't updated any old infrastructure. I'm sure all of these jewels were heavily insured. I don't know. Again, maybe connecting dots I shouldn't be connecting here, but this could have been something done from the inside that was used for insurance money. I don't know. Maybe I'm onto something here. Maybe I need a little turbo to help me out with that particular theory.
Well, earlier in this year, Louvre officials did plead with the French government for help to restore and renovate the museum's exhibition halls to protect its works of art. So, yeah, I mean, there seems to be some bureaucratic disagreement on how to spend some security money. Obviously, keeping your culture and artwork secure is very important.
Well, it does make me feel a little better hearing that they were concerned about the works of art and probably didn't have anything to do with the ridiculous theory that I just mentioned. And even French President Macron pledged millions of euros to the Louvre as part of the new Renaissance project to include enhanced security, but that hadn't started yet.
Interesting. And there had also been recent staffing issues and even staff strikes. And in 2023, the museum decided to limit the daily attendees to 30,000, 1/3 of the previous limit.
So the previous limit was 90,000.
That's a popular museum.
Daily attendees. I wonder how that fares with the Gardner Museum.
Well, just chiming in here after the recording, the Gardner Museum has about 200,000 visitors per year, which averages out to about 550 daily visitors. So a far cry from the Louvre.
So again, I wonder if these thieves had any knowledge of how neglected the security system was, or if they had any knowledge of the staff strikes, knowing that they were short-staffed. And knowing that the security was just not able to capture all of their moves.
I mean, the strikes are probably newsworthy out there. So I would say if they're paying attention to that, then they would have naturally been. And in recent years, art theft has shifted from items such as paintings and sculptures to raw materials. The thought is that it is easier to disassemble previous stones and minerals and convert them to cash than trying to find a buyer for antiquities. Guess that makes sense.
Yep. And actually, in fact, just hours after the Louvre break-in, another museum in France was ransacked. Thieves hit the Maison des Lumières and stole 2,000 silver and gold coins valued at $100,000.
I mean, small potatoes when we're comparing it with the Louvre stuff, but that's still notable that 2 heists in one day. That's crazy.
Yeah, let's pull this apart just for a second here. I wonder if that was the actual thievery that they expected to get away with and the Louvre was just a distraction, or vice versa. You know, I wonder if these were working in collaboration with one another.
It does make you wonder. And employees came in the following morning to find cases smashed and the coins missing. And last August, 6 gold nuggets worth $1.75 million were stolen from the Museum of Natural History in Paris. Interesting. And authorities arrested a woman in Barcelona and connected her to the crime as she was trying to get rid of some of the melted gold.
Wow. You know, and we were talking about the history and the culture and keeping that all intact. And this is concerning to French heritage, as the items stolen might actually just stay lost forever, unlike the painting of the Mona Lisa that was recovered.
Right. And a retired jewel thief interviewed opined that the heist at the Louvre was done by amateurs. He claimed in all of his robberies, he never dropped a single item. Quote, no less a fucking crown, end quote.
Wow. I'm assuming he was French, so you need to do that with a French accent.
No less a fucking crown.
Oh, that was
Not bad. I don't know why I rolled my R's, but yeah. And so he believes that at least one of the four is a local Parisian with some connection to the Louvre. That's kind of the inside part that we were speculating about. And that someone at the museum may have provided information that assisted in the robbery. It does seem like there must have likely been some kind of information passed forth.
Yes, and conversely, authorities have commented on the professionalism of the thieves, opining that this is certainly not their first robbery. They also believe that the break-in may be connected to an organized crime network. I would say that that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, well, there was four of them, right? I mean, that's somewhat organized, so that's not breaking news to me.
No.
So it had been estimated that breaking up the crown jewels and selling them as pieces could net around $13 million, which is only a fraction of the actual value.
So the investigation begins. It's been reported that somewhere between 60 and 100 investigators are on the case. French police claim to have gathered more than 150 DNA samples and fingerprints. They have tracked their escape route using available public and private video cameras. An AP photo shows a dapperly dressed man in a fedora alongside French police officers, giving an Inspector Clouseau feel to the investigation that could well be adapted or inspired from a motion picture. This picture is making me laugh a lot. I mean, he's got his umbrella, he's got a three-piece suit on with the vest and the tie and the fedora that's tilted.
Yeah, he needs to relax.
I can't say that the police officers are incredibly impressed by him.
No, they look pretty annoyed, actually.
A little annoyed by him. And he looks like he's 17.
Yeah, it's kind of just a forced look, in my opinion, just trying to, hearken investigators from the past.
Yeah, this investigator was like, "Oh yeah, the Louvre just got hit. I'm tossing my Clouseau costume on,
breaking out the vest."
He's only missing the mustache.
And so immediately after the robbery, the remaining French crown jewels were moved to a secure vault at the Bank of France that's 85 feet underground and virtually impenetrable. And that's where we keep all of the old episodes of Empty Frames in a 85-foot underground vault.
Yep. They actually dug an additional 4 feet, so it's 89 feet.
Right, for this third season, for the bonus episodes.
Yeah. But Tim, we have updates.
Yes. A week after the theft, 2 men have been arrested, one of which was about to leave France via the Charles de Gaulle airport on a flight to Algeria. The other man was preparing for a flight to Mali. Both men are in their 30s, from a suburb of northeast Paris, and known to police. It was reported that DNA found at the scene was processed and used to identify one of the suspects. Authorities have not stated publicly if any of the crown jewels were recovered during the arrests, and only time will reveal further information about that.
And kind of got a funny side note here. The German maker of the furniture lift, the aforementioned lift that had been attempted to be burned by the thieves, the maker of that lift is a company called Bacher. And it's attempting to take an opportunity from its 15 minutes of fame here. It posted a photo of the lift being used to access the Louvre on Instagram with a caption that read, "The next time you need things to move quickly, the Bacher Aguilo transports your treasures weighing up to 400 kilograms at 42 meters per minute. Whisper quiet thanks to 230 VE motor." Quote.
Looks like a
pretty cheeky,
a fine machine, and yes, definitely cheeky. Got to appreciate that attempt at sort of capitalizing on the moment that was, I guess, given to you. But it should be noted that as we record this on November 3rd, 2025, they have actually arrested 2 other people. So there are now 4 robbers in custody. One of the men is a 37-year-old with 11 previous convictions, 10 of which were for robbery. It seems like one of the robbers was a woman, and 3 of them were men. They were all living in a suburb of Paris, as we noted. Definitely lots of convictions. Another of the suspects has 15 previous convictions, but only 2 of which are for robbery.
So just this morning, the day of the recording on November 3rd, the New York Times had posted an article stating so far 4 people have been charged by the Paris prosecutor overseeing the Louvre robbery investigation. 3 of them are suspected of having directly robbed the museum and have been charged with theft by an organized gang, which means 1 other person whom the police believe to be centrally involved remains at large.
Right. I think that 4th person, the 3rd man, was the boyfriend of the woman who was involved in the heist, it would appear. So interesting. So it does seem like 1 man is still out there. And so the jewels that were stolen have still not been located. So we will be continuing to watch this story and provide updates when we can, hopefully soon.
Yeah, and I think it's going to happen fast because this investigation was very swift and it resulted in a nearly complete charging of all of the thieves. So yeah, you're right. Something's going to happen very soon, and hopefully we find out what happened to these articles, these items that were stolen.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for listening here today. We appreciate it. We will be back with hopefully some good updates in this story, but we will be back with other episodes of Empty Frames as well. And we appreciate your emails and comments. Please keep them coming. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And hey, check out our other shows as well, Missing and Crawlspace. There are links in the show notes.
And again, big thanks to Kathleen Studer for putting this document together. Certainly helps us in our breaking down of any crime, especially one that's got so many hard to pronounce words and weaves a really, hey, guess what I'm going to say, rich story.